Hi, I'm Andrew Laws. I'm the production designer and creature concept designer on The Witcher. And you are in the art department's war room, where we introduce everybody to the worlds that we're beginning to develop and create and begin to discuss how we might grow those things. We sort of started in this room with Kaer Morhen, which is a big character for us this season, and we knew that that was going to be a recurring environment throughout the entirety of season 2, and that was going to be a very key part of our visual envelope. The seed of these environments all comes from Sapkowski's books. So the construct, the idea, the location, the feeling of what Kaer Morhen is. By the same token, we've established in our version of The Witcher the idea of more globalizing the continent. And so in particular with Kaer Morhen, from India and the Indian citadels to Northern European, Eastern European, Scandinavian, Japanese architecture. So it's just a way of making the world feel richer and wider and more open. The diehard fans are also potentially invested in the game. There's a world that they've been in for a long time. We don't necessarily want to repeat that world for them. We want it to be something new and fresh. So Aretuza in particular, we established a certain identity to it last year, but we only revealed certain parts of it. This year, we get into the details. For example, in these drawings, you'll start to see what the interior courtyards of the Aretuza are. The first episode of this season, in a way, is a standalone, and that was Nivellan's mansion, and that really set a tone for the show and allowed us to create something that was really magical for the audience coming into season 2. It had to be something that drew us in right away. A big part of what we're doing this season is growing the world of our monsters, because we're beginning to understand, where these monsters come from. We start with Nivellan, who is a very physical character, and with VFX augmentation to create this kind of boar bear character head. Meet our Leshy. So these are tree creatures. This year, the creatures, I feel, have a lot of depth to them, very layered. We're developing their movement, in a much more detailed ways. So this is the entrance to Kaer Morhen. So this is what we call the Kaer Morhen Bailey. So what you can see right away is that it's quite battered. There was a fantastic battle that happened long before our story starts in season 2 that caused a great deal of destruction and quite a lot of death. So a lot of Witchers died in that battle, and we see the evidence of it still remaining in the world that we come to with our characters in season 2. The gates are no longer there, parts of the towers are missing, but the walls still remain. The remnants of the southern ramparts of the Bailey having been destroyed in this great battle, there's still the remnant griffin skeleton lying in the snow, half buried. You'll still see the bones of the fallen. So this was the interior courtyard of Nivellan's mansion. What was in here before was a statue garden covered in snow. You're basically, again, 360 degrees in here, and then we've worked with VFX to design the rest of the castle, which extends above the walls that we have here. The stage here at Arborfield is akin to what we call a super stage. It's an absolutely massive environment and allowed us to be able to create really expansive in-camera environments on one big stage that allow the actors to be able to move through things without cutting. Where we are right now, we'd be on the exterior of Kaer Morhen and the upper reaches of our world. And this takes us into the Kaer Morhen Great Hall. And when we see these Witchers in this environment, we want it to feel strong, bold. We also wanted to make sure that we had a very physical environment to move around. And again, creating layers that keep it interesting for the audience. The Great Hall is on our right, continuing down into the next section, which is currently dressed as our armory. And then you continue, and that takes us into the basement lab. And this is where all the Witchers do all the examinations of the monsters. It's not just a matter of having a few pretty things on a table. We want to make it look like there's a purpose to where these are autopsy tools. This is what happens in here. How do they cut things? How brutal is it? This is our version of a medieval world. You will see layers of destruction. It's tired, it's falling apart, but it is the Witcher's home.